Alrighty. So, out of all the comments I have received, which a lot of them are nice, more often than not, I do appreciate them. Some I just feel are rage bait, which, you know what, I expect that from the MMA crowd. This is an MMA-based channel, so you're just going to get some hecklers on the side when you do this kind of stuff. So I've learned to kind of live with that and take it as a grain of salt. But one that I have to say holds 100% truth is that when someone says I look like Sean Strickland's little brother if Sean Strickland had one, I would have to say, you know what? You're kind of right on the money, because not only on the internet, but every time I go out in public, people say, you know who you look like, right? I'm like, who? And I could hear either two things, Sean Strickland or Pedro Pascal. I don't know how those two are so closely related in people's minds. It's kind of like the Yanni Laurel thing, or the blue dress or the white dress. You guys remember those memes? Like, it was like a decade ago, how it was like different perceptions. You'd be looking at a picture and it was a blue dress, but someone else would see that it's a white dress, and they're not messing with you. Like, they actually see a white dress. So I don't know what that's all about. I guess perception's reality. But where am I getting at this is a video about Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is getting his rematch with Dricus du Plessis. Now, for everybody who is saying Khamzat should get the next title shot, you know what? I can't really say no to that. Where Dricus du Plessis, kind of had to pick his shots with Robert Whittaker, Khamzat just dove in and ate him alive. So if anyone deserves a shot at the title right now, it's Khamzat. But I will admit, as much as I want to see Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat, I do want to see Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland 2 before Khamzat comes in and takes that belt. Because honestly, it's going to take a miracle for Dricus du Plessis to beat Khamzat. That's just my opinion. I know that there's been underdog stories before, like Sean Strickland versus Adesanya, like Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou, the first fight, so you never know. But Khamzat has proven that he's just kind of leagues above it all when you do that to Robert Whittaker. Even though I've said Robert Whittaker is getting there in age and he's slowly but surely losing tread in the tires, he's becoming more and more beatable. I don't think that takes away from how Khamzat went that night. I think Khamzat just put on a masterclass. But the only reason I say I want to see Sean Strickland get one more shot, that first fight with Dricus was really close. Anyone who, doesn't think that Sean Strickland and Dricus should run that back, because there's a lot of people who thought that Sean Strickland won that fight, myself included. When I saw that they handed it to Dricus du Plessis, I was like, okay, there has to be something involved in that. And then Adesanya versus du Plessis. They really wanted to make sure Dricus got the belt so they could market an Adesanya comeback, and that kind of backfired on them because Adesanya had lost again, and now he's looking for a bounce back. Maybe in the meantime, if Adesanya versus Khamzat were to happen, that's another guy at middleweight that Khamzat could be facing. But if he gets Adesanya to the ground like that, it's not going to be good for Adesanya. In fact, after seeing what Khamzat did to Whittaker's jaw, it's I don't think anyone really wants to fight Khamzat except for the guy with the target on their back, which is the guy that has the belt, which is Dricus. But Sean Strickland even held out, fought Paulo Costa. Obviously, it did go the decision. We saw how much the judges hated him because where it should have been a unanimous decision, it was a split decision. But I saw something in Sean Strickland's game right now currently is that he has kind of relied on a 1-2 boxing with some teep kicks. Not really a whole lot of like body side kicks or anything that really, mixes it up. I think that if he were to add more tools to his striking repertoire that were really sharp, because he got like 3 really sharp ones, jab, straight, teep, those are really good. But if he were to have different angle ones, like hooks and uppercuts all over, right, it would for surely give, a bit of a dangerous, even more aura to Sean Strickland, where it's like, okay, if he were to face down Khamzat, it would be interesting, So that's the only thing I would want to give Strickland advice on is just add more tools. But that's up to him. Do I think that he has a shot at beating Dricus? Yes, but I would recommend for Sean Strickland, he has to finish Dricus if he wants to do this, because we've seen how biased the judges can be. So he does have to get a finish if he wants to win this fight. Otherwise, they're probably going to go with Duplessis as the winner, even if it seems slightly skewed in Sean's favor, or even if it's really close. They're going to, the judges just have proven time and time again that they're not a big fan of Sean Strickland. Unless he decisively wins it like Adesanya, there's not a whole lot. But this fight is taking place in Sydney, and over there in Sydney, they tend to love him, because they could have robbed him against Adesanya, but that probably would have caused an uproar. You could tell that the Sydney judges have, quite a bit of integrity. Even though a lot of people are talking about the Volk versus Islam one, the first fight, look, I actually thought that Islam won like 3 of those 5 rounds. Now, obviously, Volk won round 5, but I could see where the judges went with Islam on that one. But moving forward, the last reason why I believe that Sean Strickland needs to get a title shot now is because, this is do or die for him. Once that happens, you're going to have Khamzat coming in, like I said, fighting for the belt. And then you're going to have a whole new waves of people with whole new styles that might actually be able to negate Sean Strickland's style really effectively. And you know what? He's only getting younger. And he's only getting older, excuse me. But we have seen this time and time again. It's not anything new. Fighters just have their primes, and then their primes slip away a lot faster than sometimes people realize. And you can only stay in the limelight in this sport for so long. But I think the thing is whether this title shot goes in Sean Strickland's favor or not. Like, let's say Sean Strickland wins and then gets the belt and then loses to Khamzat, which I think honestly could possibly be a case too. I think whoever has that belt, I am going to be praying for them when Khamzat is across from them. I think, honestly, his time in the limelight and the amount of buzz he has generated in the sport for middleweight, because middleweight had a time where it was at its height with Anderson Silva. It took a dip because it just didn't have a whole lot going for it. And now it's back up here. And I think a lot of that is because of Sean Strickland. And Sean Strickland has played the controversy route that has brought more eyes to the sport and more eyes to middleweight. And Sean Strickland has bursted himself not into just fighter status, but celebrity status. And I think that, no matter where this goes, can't really be taken away from him. And I'm not just saying this because people say I look like his younger brother, but I do actually have an odd admiration for what he's done. He doesn't seem like he's a guy that tries to hide anything. He seems like very authentic, because you can tell when he opens his mouth. He doesn't care what anyone thinks, so why would he really hide anything? He's just a super upfront dude, super, like I said, vulgar, of course, but he's open about how vulgar he really is. So, you know what? I'm really happy to see him get one last shot against Dricus Du Plessis before, it kind of seems like the middleweight division is going to move on a little bit stylistically. And you know what? I just want to see him get one more shot, because if you think that he hasn't earned it by now, he has continued to stay busy. And I'm glad that after the Paulo Costa fight, he said, you know what? No more. I'm not fighting Robert Whittaker. I'm fighting for a title. I should have won that first fight, and he's going to win the second one. That's what he's believing. We'll see. And you know what? If he were to beat Dricus in the second fight and get the title back by a finish, I'd be good with that too. But I am so glad they didn't just skip to Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat. I'm glad that Sean Strickland is getting his well-earned title shot. But peace out. See you on the next one.